Can you actually get high quality mixes and masters just from using headphones? The answer is absolutely yes, and in fact you might be better off using headphones over monitors depending on your situation. So in this video, I'm going to dive into how you can do this and what those benefits are of headphones. Hey, what's going on? I'm Reagan Ram with OrpheusAudioAcademy.com, helping you make better music and grow your fan base online. And maybe right now you just can't afford, to get high quality studio monitors. So all you have are headphones and you're wondering, can I actually get high quality mixes and masters just using headphones? Or maybe you do have monitors, but you don't have a acoustically treated room. If that's the case, you might actually be better off using headphones. But first off, why do people say that you can't mix or master on headphones? The problem is your mixes and your masters, they tend not to translate well to other speakers and other listening platforms when you're just mixing on headphones. This is because your left and right stereo fields, right, they're completely separated. There's no mixing when you're using headphones, right? And that's not natural. When we're listening in the car or on a speaker system, whatever, you have some blending of the left and the right, so you're getting a clearer picture of what's actually going on in your mix versus using headphones. So a mix can sound clear and wide on your headphones, but then when you go listen to your mix in other environments, you find it kind of falls flat and sounds not what it sounded like on your headphones. But in this video, I'm going to be showing you how we can work around this so that we can get good quality mixes and masters just from headphones. But before we get into that, if you are mixing and mastering in an untreated room, which is what I have right now, but I'm going to be getting acoustic treatment very soon. But if you are in that situation, you're probably better off actually mixing and mastering on headphones because the room is going to be an even bigger disadvantage than your headphones, because your monitors are going to be pumping the sound into your room. It's going to be bouncing around the walls. You're going to be getting reflections. You're going to lose clarity. You're going to be hearing mud. You're going to be losing bass, so you're going to be adding more bass, and it's just going to be a big mess. Now, I've got monitors which are good for small untreated rooms, and I'll put a link to those in the description below. But even so, I tend to mostly use my headphones, and then I'll just check on my monitors and see how it sounds. And so the advantage to using headphones is you eliminate the room from your mix, from what you're listening to, and it also makes just quality control better, so you can more easily hear any blips or noises that aren't desirable in your mix. All right, now on to the tips for how you can get the best quality mix and master from your headphones. And step number one is to have the right kind of headphones. Now I go more in depth in another video, which I'll link below, onto what are the best pair of headphones for mixing and mastering and what you want to look for in a good pair of headphones for mixing and mastering. But one of the best pairs you can get is the pair right here, the Sennheiser HD600s. And these are great because they have a very flat frequency response, which means what you hear is mostly what you get. They're not perfect, but a lot of other headphones out there, they're going to be all over the place with their frequency spectrum. Might have a big boost in the bass section, right? A big example of this is Beats by Dre. They'll have a huge boost in the bass section, which is not what you want. So you don't want to use any just regular consumer headphones when you are mixing, because you're going to be hearing things that aren't accurate, and then you're going to adjust your mix based on that, so you're making poor decisions, and it's not your fault, it's the headphones. So you want to use a good studio pair of headphones, and like I said, the pair I recommend are the Sennheiser HD600s. Another great thing about these is they are open backed, which allows some crossover between the left and the right, so you get that more realistic picture of what your music is doing. So whatever pair of headphones you get, well, you want to make sure that they are open backed and they have a level frequency response. Now, step number two to mixing and mastering on headphones is using reference tracks. These are going to be your most valuable asset. And because even if you don't have the most ideal listening environment on your headphones, so long as you're getting your mixes to closely resemble your reference tracks, then you know that you're going to be in the right ballpark. You're going to be able to get a similar quality mix and master. And so real quick, if you don't know what reference tracks are, these are just tracks that are in a similar genre. Maybe they have a similar song structure, similar instrumentation, and you put those into your DAW, and you kind of use those as a guide, right? And so this is a difference between, say, trying to, what if someone told you, hey, go draw a picture of your house from memory, versus drawing a picture of your house from an actual photograph. If you have that reference of the photograph, you'll be able to draw that house much more accurately. And so it's the same thing with reference tracks. By having these reference tracks with you as you're mixing, as you're mastering, you get a picture, a ballpark of where you want to go. And obviously you don't want your tracks to sound exactly like your references. That's not what we're shooting for, but you're looking for mostly the level and volume, content, and relationships between the different frequencies. So how does your bass stack up against the bass of that reference, right? On your headphones, you might hear like your track doesn't have a lot of bass, but then you compare it to the reference and you're like, oh, maybe my bass is actually too heavy. So you dial it back. And that's maybe because your headphones, maybe they're rolled off slightly in the low end or something. So by having that reference, you can make accurate decisions and get your track sounding high quality and professional. Now, the third step to getting an accurate mix and master is you want to listen back at a consistent volume level. If you're using monitors, you'd want this to be 85 to 90 dB. Only when you are EQing, though, the rest of the time you will be listening at a lower volume level, generally at a level that would allow you to have a conversation easily without raising your voice with someone else that was in the room. But when you're EQing, you want to listen back at a higher volume level of 85 to 90 dB because that is the volume level where the human ear hears the most linearly. I have a whole other video about this that you can check out below that covers what volume should you be listening back to your music at when you're mixing and you're mastering your music. Now, when you're on headphones, right, you can't easily detect what this is, right? If you have your monitors, you can just get an app on your phone, hold up, and it can read what the dB level is. On your headphones, you can't really do that. So you're going to use your reference track as your point of reference and kind of match the volume to that song as you're listening back. Additionally, you can also make sure that you're actually improving your track with every new plugin you add by putting a limiter on your track first. Now, you don't actually want to put it first in the plugin chain. You'll put it all the way at the bottom, but by at least getting your track up to the same relative volume level of your reference, that way you can know that the changes you're making, whether or not they're actually improving the song or whether they're just making it louder. Because sometimes if you're just making your track louder with, say, a compressor or something, you can trick yourself into thinking it's better when it's not actually better. Now, the fourth step to mixing and mastering on headphones is to use a timer. And this is because listening fatigue happens much more rapidly when you're using headphones versus monitors. So you can put on a timer so that make sure that you're spending no more than, say, like 45 minutes at a time if you're mixing. And then after that, you take a 5 to 15 minute break. And if you're mastering, I would say even shorten this to maybe like 20 minutes at a time. Now, ideally, it wouldn't take you more than 20 minutes to master a song, right? There's no real reason why it should take a long time to master. But especially when you're doing that you're really listening very carefully with mastering, you're making very minute changes, then you want to, again, that's going to fatigue you even faster. So I would set the timer for 20 minutes there, and then again, take that 5 to 15 minute break before continuing if you need to when you're mastering. Now, step 5 would be to use a tonal balance control like the one by iZotope. This is kind of similar to using a reference, as this will show you, based on what genre of music you're creating, whether or not your different frequency ranges are where they should be for that type of track. So this is just another great guide to help you know if you're in the right area as you're listening back to your music on headphones. Now, tip number 6 is to use a imaging tool. There's a lot of different ones out there. My favorite is another iZotope tool called Insight 2. And this is an important tool for, number one, just monitoring your loudness, but it's also really important for monitoring your image and how wide your track is. This will also help you know if there are any phase issues. Now, phase issues, these are things that can be disguised when you're mixing on headphones because, again, your left and your right sides of your stereo spectrum are separate. And so those sound waves aren't able to mix. And when you have phase issues, sound waves can actually cancel each other out. It's like adding +1 and -1, you get 0. And so with using a imaging tool like Insight 2, you can look at the Lysagus tab, and then you can see how your sound field is reacting. And so you'll see this basically cloud of noise that's detecting the sound in this graph. And if everything is mostly vertical, then you know you're safe. but if things start going horizontal, then you know that you might have some phase issues, and so you might want to rethink your panning. Now, tip number 7 is to actually turn your headphones into a professional studio, and you can do this with a Waves tool called NX. And so what this does is it basically tracks your head movements, and it can turn your headphones into, make your headphones. And so this tool, NX, this plugin recreates the acoustics of a high-end studio in your headphones, so you can make great mixing decisions anytime, anywhere. So that's really cool. You get this little head tracker, so it tracks your head. So as you move, it'll be just like if you were moving in a studio environment, and you would hear things differently, obviously, if sound was coming out of monitors. So that's another great way to kind of remove the headphone disadvantages by kind of using this tool to turn your headphones almost into monitors. Now, if you don't want to go that far, you could also use a tool like SonarWorks. And this is a tool that will kind of monitor, again, what your headphones frequency response is. And this can help create an EQ curve that will correct your headphones so that they have a more flat response, so that what you're hearing is more accurate in your headphones. So that is another great tool as well. And my final tip number 8, is to just test out your mix on a lot of different devices. So after you've mixed it in your studio on your headphones, listen to it on your laptop speakers, on a Bluetooth speaker, go listen to it in your car or any other speakers you have, so you can just see how it translates, and also just see how it compares to other tracks on those same listening devices. And so you can see how it stacks up to these other mixes. And if it stacks up well, then you know that you have a good, high quality professional mix that is going to compete well with all the other mixed music that is out there on streaming platforms and so on. And one bonus step is to not stress it. After all, done is better than perfect, and the more music you create, the more you're going to improve. So don't let that hold you back from just releasing music and continuing to improve and learn and get better with every new song you work on. What's more important than actually the mix quality is the arrangement, is the songwriting, is the song structure, right? This is what is going to make your song do well or not necessarily the production, because there's tons of songs out there that aren't well produced, yet people still love them. They're still good songs because they were well written. And so if you want to learn how to write great quality songs, I've actually created a free guide that breaks down the 9 elements that all the hit songwriters tend to have in common between all their #1 hit songs. And so you can grab this guide in the description below. It's my free hit creation checklist. Otherwise, if you want to know the best pair of headphones for mixing and mastering, again, I have a full video that goes more in depth on those, and that's playing on the screen right now. With that, have a great day, keep creating, and I'll see you in a future video.